March 31st, 1970. A routine domestic flight lifts off from Tokyo's Haneda Airport. 129 passengers. A peaceful trip to the southern city of Fukuoka. But mid-air, the unthinkable happens. 9 young men stand up, armed not with guns, but with something far more symbolic. Katanas, bombs, rage. They were not hijackers looking for ransom. They were soldiers in a silent war for revolution. The radicals rise. The hijackers were members of a little-known but dangerously committed group, the Red Army faction, a militant offshoot of the Japanese Communist League. In the late 1960s, Japan was boiling beneath its polite surface. Student protests, anti-American sentiment, Vietnam War backlash, and in university basements and secret meetings, young radicals were turning frustration into fire. Led by Takaya Shiomi, the Red Army believed peaceful protest was useless. They wanted armed revolution, to overthrow the Japanese government and ignite a global Marxist uprising. Inspired by Mao's China and North Korea's Juche ideology, these young men viewed Japan as a puppet of American imperialism. The only answer? Direct action. And they had a plan. Operation Phoenix, the Skyjacking, Japan Airlines Flight 351, Boeing 727, scheduled to fly from Tokyo to Fukuoka. On board, among business travelers and families, were 9 passengers who had boarded with seemingly normal tickets. But tucked inside their luggage were homemade pipe bombs, smoke devices, and katanas, long, curved swords evoking Japan's feudal past. Just minutes into the flight, they sprang into action. Smoke filled the cabin. Passengers screamed. Swords were raised in the aisle. The hijackers stormed the cockpit and issued a demand: fly us to Pyongyang, to North Korea, or we blow up the plane. North Korea, seen by the Red Army as a revolutionary paradise, a place they could regroup, train, and return one day to spark civil war in Japan. The political standoff. The Japanese government was stunned. No hijacking like this had ever occurred in its modern history. It wasn't about money. It was about ideology. Negotiators feared any rash move could trigger a massacre mid-air. The flight first landed in Fukuoka for refueling. Authorities tried to reason with the hijackers, but they were unmoved. They wanted asylum in North Korea and nothing else. So the pilots were instructed to comply, but with a twist. They flew north, not to Pyongyang, but to Seoul, South Korea, under a false pretense. The crew hoped the hijackers wouldn't notice. But the Red Army wasn't stupid. When the plane touched down in Seoul, the flag was wrong. The air base was wrong. A tense moment followed. Swords raised again. Bombs threatened. But miraculously, no one was hurt. The final move. To the north. Negotiations continued in Seoul for days. In a dramatic decision, the South Korean government agreed to let the hijackers continue to North Korea in exchange for the safe release of all hostages. The hijackers boarded a smaller plane and finally made it to Pyongyang. What awaited them there? Not glory, not training camps, but a cold, shadowy exile. Of the 9, some would stay in North Korea the rest of their lives, used as propaganda tools, cut off from family and future. Others would try to re-enter the world of crime and terror, attempting further hijackings or revolution abroad. Many were arrested in the decades that followed. Aftermath and legacy. The Flight 351 hijacking changed Japan forever. It exposed how deep the cracks in society had grown. It birthed one of the world's most notorious extremist groups. The Japanese Red Army, later linked to embassy seizures, bombings, and terror across the globe. And it showed that revolution doesn't always come with guns. Sometimes it comes masked in smoke, swords, and the illusion of glory. The young hijackers believed they were fighting for freedom. But in their pursuit of paradise, they left a nation shaken, a plane scarred, and their own futures sealed in exile. If you found this true crime story compelling, subscribe to Behind the Crime for more unbelievable real-life tales. Leave a comment. Do you think the hijackers were radicals or victims of ideology? And don't forget to hit that like button to support the channel.